Hey there. Welcome to the Literary Escape Podcast. I'm your host, Becky, and I'm glad you're here today. On the Literary Escape Podcast, we talk about books. We talk about escapes that we can have through our books. And I always have some great book recommendations for you. So, buckle up and let's see where we're going today. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to another episode of the Literary Escapes Podcast. I'm happy you're here today. I thought I would do something a little bit different on the show today since it is Thanksgiving. I wanted to share some books that I'm thankful for and share a little bit about why they've been important in my life. So the first one, and if you've listened to any of my other episodes, you probably recognize the fact that I'm a fan of Harry Potter. And so the first book or books in this case that I'm going to share with you, book that I'm thankful for, is the Harry Potter series. I found the series, well, obviously back in the 90s, but one of my nephews had mentioned them to me, and it was prior to my having kids, and so I was just a young adult that found them and really enjoyed them, and they helped me connect to my nephews at the time. And so I wound up reading them all and absolutely adored them. And then when I had kids, I was able to read through the first few, at least, with each of them separately. And well, the second one, I guess all three of us kind of hung out together. But it was so much fun to read them aloud and to enjoy them together in that way. Reading aloud with your kids is such a special experience anyway. And to share a book that I enjoyed and then have them enjoy them made the series that much more special. And then when I was working in a children's library at an elementary school, it was so much fun to introduce kids there to the Harry Potter series. And so it has been part of my life, for the past, 20-ish years, probably more than that. And with a whole bunch of different people, but predominantly my family. And one of the toppers, I guess, for this series is that as a family, we were able to do some traveling around the Harry Potter series. And living in Central Florida, it was very easy to be able to go visit the Wizarding World. And so we had season tickets for a couple of years as our Christmas presents. And we would go visit the Wizarding World whenever we wanted to. And that was a lot of fun. And then we went to England and were able to go to the Warner Brothers studios and visit that. And the making of Harry Potter studio tour was just amazing. And so Harry Potter has been a really integral part of my family. And so that is a book and a book series that I am thankful for. And I'm hoping that this Christmas season we get to watch the movies again, because I always enjoy that. So the second book I'm thankful for is Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. I know Pride and Prejudice is the one that everybody goes to, and it's fine, but I prefer Sense and Sensibility. I like the humor in that one a little better. I like the characters in that one a little bit better. And in the movie, I enjoy the actors a little bit better. So, but that's just personal preference on my end. And I remember my daughter trying to read Pride and Prejudice, and she did not enjoy it. And so I offered up Sense and Sensibility to her, and she enjoyed that one as well. And so it gave us something to talk to. And then we watched the movie together. And so that was a lot of fun. Again, it's another book that has special connection with family, and that's important. And we went and visited the Jane Austen Center in Bath, England while we were there, and that was awesome. And my kids, even my husband and son, who are not necessarily Jane Austen fans, they thoroughly enjoyed it, and that's pretty cool. So I enjoyed that we were able to have this experience together, and it wasn't relegated just to the women folk, if you know what I mean. So Jane Austen, Sense and Sensibility is my second book that I am thankful for. So the third book is a book called The Shell Seekers by Rosamond Poultry. This book is I think I've read it a couple of times in my life. And the first time that I read it, I was in college at home with at my mom's house, mom and dad's house. And I was bored. I didn't have anything to read. And my mom said, I've got some books. Why don't you go grab one and read one of those? And so she pointed out specifically the Shell Seekers as one of her favorites. And so I was thinking, why not? And so it was so different from everything that I normally read, but yet it was such a beautiful story. And so that one I really am thankful for because of the connection it gave me with my mom. And when I was caregiving with her and she had her dementia, it was a story that I told her as we were sitting around. I would just pick out pieces of it and share the story with her. And she enjoyed that. She didn't remember that this was one of her favorite books, but it was something that she still enjoyed anew each time we talked about it. And so The Shell Seekers by Rosamond is the third book that I'm thankful for. The fourth one is a little bit different. It is called 80 Days to Elsewhere by author Casey Dyer. And this book I read, it must be right around a year ago. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. It was such a fun, adventurous story. It is about a girl who recreates Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days. And so she has to recreate that journey, not using today's technology as far as like flight or that kind of thing. She had to do it in ways that were available back when Jules Verne wrote the story. And so she took a lot of ships, she took a lot of trains, that kind of thing, to get her from here to there. And she visited, lots of places around the world. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had never read Around the World in 80 Days at that point, but I knew I really enjoyed this story. And so I reached out to the author, Casey Dyer, and said, I really loved your story. Do you do book club chat? Would you be willing to join in a book club chat? And so she emailed me back and she's like, yes, I'd love to. And it was this time of year, so it was pre-holidays. And so I said, well, I tell you what, why don't we do it in January? And let's get through the holidays, do it in January, maybe say the end of January. And so we booked it, got the date and time and everything ready. And so I was so excited about that. But here's the thing is I didn't have a book club for her to come and join. And so I had to figure out how to create a book club for her to come visit just so I could meet her and talk about her book. And so that was when I created the Literary Escape Book Club. We read together Around the World in 80 Days, and then we read 80 Days to Elsewhere. And then we had Casey Dyer on and met her. And it was so much fun. It was so much fun. As a matter of fact, I reached out to her last week, and she's going to jump on the podcast with me in a few weeks as a book club anniversary, since she was my first author in my first book. And so look for that one coming up. So that those are the 4 books that I am thankful for. And for very different reasons, they all have very special meaning to me. And I'm hoping that maybe one day I can add a book that I've written onto this list as a book that I'm thankful for. But until then, I am happy to read other people's books and enjoy them thoroughly. Thanks for joining me today. I really enjoyed sharing these with you. This was, like I said, a little different than what I normally do, a lot more personal than what I normally share, and it was a lot of fun. So thanks for listening with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. If you've listened to a few of my episodes and you enjoy them, I'd love it if you'd leave a review on iTunes especially. It helps get the reach out there so that Apple will recommend my podcast to other people. And I'd love that. If you'd like to come join the Literary Escape Book Club, I'll have a link in the show notes. Click the button in the description below and you can go read the show notes. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you'll show up again next week. Have a good week and happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for joining me today on the Literary Escapes podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode and maybe would like some more, Literary Escape book recommendations, then come check out the Literary Escape Society. We're a community of travelers who love books, or maybe book lovers who love to travel. Either way, if you need an escape, a literary escape, come join us as we read our way around the world together, one book at a time. Check out the show notes to learn more about the Literary Escape Society. And we'll see you next time on the next episode.